Stream has been kicked.
I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority.
Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority. Today we're going to use some good old-fashioned logic. Let's make sure that we are in fact live. I believe we are indeed. So that's good. Looks like we are. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the moon in your eye, which I know sounds absolutely ridiculous. But by the time this stream is over with, you're going to understand a lot better. If you've been around very long, you're going to know that I have been studying and trying to discern a lot of things about the reality of our world, the reality of how we are made in the image of God, and how Father made also all things in reflective, similar images, and in the likeness of. So, can someone in the chat give me a chat and let me know you can hear me and see okay? I would appreciate it. Here's the live chat right here, right now. So someone drop a little chat for me if you would, so that way it'll pop up on the screen here, and I can know for sure that y'all guys can hear me before I get started with this pretty cool presentation. Aha. It's all okay. Thank you, Nita. Thank you, Rainier. I appreciate it. All right, so let's get into it, shall we? All right, now I realize this is going to be super high level conversation, theory, understanding. What's happening, Kent? Good to see you, brother. Anita, good to see you too, sister. I know this is going to be super high level of understanding. What's happening, Mike? Great to see you, Super Mike. But I need y'all guys to consider this. I need you to ponder it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it, but ponder it for yourself. Okay? All right. Now, in order to understand our reality, our world, what we see out of our eyes, the world that exists around us, we look outward. But in order to really understand it, we have to also look inward. Okay? And it has come to my understanding over many years of research and study and praying that the eye itself, let's pull up an eye. Okay. So we might need to reference it. The eye itself is a fantastic thing to consider. Okay? It must be considered, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Let's just use maybe this one for the moment. That might work, but let's really want one that's a little bit more clear. Let's go with, make a little change here and see if we can't get something that's a little bit more clear. Here we go. Okay. The eye, the human eye. The human eye, once you understand what it is and how it functions, you can understand the world that exists around you. I promise you. The eye holds the secret. This is likely the reason why the so-called self-proclaimed Illuminati and all the television stations all use the eye. And this is also tied to why when you see a full sun halo, it tells you something about our world. I'm not going to re-explain everything again today. I'm going to assume that the advanced class is here. Okay? Now, when you look at this eye, there's a lot of things that you might notice. One is that it looks like the sun, doesn't it? Another, it also looks like our world, whether you realize it yet or not. You see, we have an ice wall that surrounds our world. See this white that surrounds our world? If this is an image of our world, then this is the ice wall. This is in the likeness of, the image of, similar to. You understand? So, and I could go way further into explaining the wings of the eye, the foliage around the eye, around the midst of the garden, because this is also an image of the garden, even the Garden of Eden. Because all things, including us, were made in the image of God for his pleasure. And he actually made them very simple. But if you ask science, oh, it's very, very complicated and you're not able to understand it. But I'm going to show you on a level today that you can understand it, and you will know more than the scientist because they believe the lies that they've been taught. You remember when God flooded the world? It says biblically that God flooded the world. Okay, well, if this eye is in the image of our world, then it should occasionally flood due to sadness, shouldn't it? Does the eye flood due to sadness occasionally? Do the waters pour out upon the eye when heartbreak has happened? You see how God, our Father in heaven, made us in the image? The eye does flood on great sadness, doesn't it? The water pours down. All right. So here's our world. Here is our ice wall, our symbolic in the likeness of ice wall around our world. And as I've stated before, our world tours. This is the inhabitable world here in the image of, and also in the image of the sun, but also in the image of the moon. And I'm going to show you that today. And since the moon is in the image of the eye, which I'm going to be able to show you, and of course, you know, it's round just like the eye and just like our world, WHIRLED. It has a likeness already, doesn't it? And if our world was in the likeness of us, we have two lights in our head, two eyes, and the heavens have two lights in them as well, don't they? But that's just a coincidence, right? All right, so let's start learning a little bit about the eye. And particularly what we're going to do is we're going to learn about photography and holograms and what are they based on? The discovery of the technology. Photography is based on the way the eye works, especially the old school photography when they would have the negatives made and they would put them through the chemicals and then they would hang them up to dry. Yeah, works the same way the eye does. That's where they discovered it, just like I've told you. You study nature, which we're in it, and you will discover the world. You'll discover everything. So let's read some information here. The core idea of photography. Photography literally means drawing with light. So photons means light. Photography, okay? An image is captured when light from a scene hits a light-sensitive surface, and that surface changes chemically in response to how much light it receives. Now, we're talking about photography, but we're also talking about the eye. And you'll see that here in a few minutes. So, the surface of the negative, you might say, changes chemically in response to how much light it receives. In old style photography, before digital sensors, that surface was film coated with light sensitive silver compounds, usually silver halides, like silver bromide and silver chloride. Okay. The film and exposure process. Trying to get it to go bigger and not wanting to. Inside the camera has a lens, like your eye, that focuses light from the scene into the film at the back. The film is coated with a thin layer of gelatin containing tiny crystals of silver halide. When the shutter opens, light hits the film for a split second. Areas of the film that receive more light undergo a small, invisible chemical change. This is called latent image. It's latent because you can't see it yet. At this stage, no image is visible. It's just a molecular change waiting to be revealed. Developing the film. Now, the film must go through a chemical process in a dark room using several steps and baths of chemicals. The developer chemically reduces the exposed silver halide crystals to pure metallic silver, which looks black Areas that received more light become darker because more silver is produced there. Okay. We've all seen negatives, and most of us who are older took your negatives to the store to get them developed at some time in your lifetime, right? Unless you're like 20 some or 30, maybe 30, 35 years old. That's how it used to work. When you took photos, you didn't have photos, you had negatives. Now, the film must go through a chemical process in a dark room. Let me make sure nobody's texting me for any reason I need to know about. Apparently not. Okay. Good. All right, so we've got that about the developer. The developer reduces the exposed silver halide crystals to pure metallic silver, which looks black. Stop bath. The acidic solution that stops the development instantly. Now, this is important about these chemicals. Everything here is important to help you understand and be able to see the reality that I'm going to present to you. Okay? The fixer. The fixer removes any unexposed silver halide that wasn't hit by light. These parts of the film become clear because they no longer contain silver compounds. Rinse and dry. The film is washed with clean water and dried. You now have a negative, a transparent strip with inverted tones. Inverted tones. What exactly is a negative? A negative is called that because the tones are reversed. Negative is called that because the tones are reversed. Inverted, reversed. Bright areas of the original scene, dark on the film. Dark areas of the scene are light on the film. Most of you remember this, and you've seen negatives before, okay? The inversion happens because light turns into dark silver on the film. So bright sunlight produces more metallic silver, making those areas darker. Color film negatives work on the same principle, except with dye layers that record red, green, and blue light as their complementary colors, okay? Making the positive print. To get a normal photo, a positive image, the opposite of the negative. And what is the sun and the moon? They're opposites. The sun is the masculine, the moon is the feminine, and they're opposites. The negative is placed in an enlarger, a special light projector that shines light through the negative onto light-sensitive photographic paper. The areas on the negative block more light. They print light on the paper. The clear areas let more light through. They print dark on the paper. So you're getting the opposite of the negative, okay? After developing this paper, the developer stop, bath, and fixer again, you get a positive image. The photo you can hold in your hand. Remember the old photos, especially back in the day when they were on the glass slides? They had to go under the thing and it went poof. Very similar. Okay, those were negatives on glass slides. Light and image formation. When light from the world enters your eye, so now we're starting to talk about the eye, okay? When light from the world enters your eye, the lens focuses it onto the retina. Just like a camera lens focuses light onto film. In both systems, the image formed on that surface is real and inverted. The brightness and color patterns of the world are preserved. Chemical reaction in the retina. Your retina is a thin film of living tissue made up of there's that word photo for photograph, and photons, meaning light, made up of photoreceptor cells, rods, and cones. The rods are your black and white photos. The rods are sensitive to light intensity. Okay? The cones are sensitive to color. When light hits these cells, a molecule called rhodopsin in the rods, or photocin in the cones, changes shape. This is a photochemical reaction, very much like the silver haloid reaction in film. That chemical change creates an electrical signal that travels through the optic nerve to the brain. The negative and the brain. There's even a conceptual link to the negative in photography. Of course, when you stare at a bright image and then look away, you sometimes see the after image with the colors reversed like a negative. This happens because the photoreceptors that were overstimulated become temporarily desensitized, so you perceive the opposite colors. Like if you look at the sun and then, or a bright light, and you look away and you have that dark spot in your eye. So you're perceiving the negative. Okay? So even the idea of a negative appears naturally in how our vision system adapts to light. Now, I know all this ain't very exciting yet, but it will be. In both photography and vision, light is focused and captured. Chemical changes encode the image. An inversion occurs that must be corrected by printing or by the brain. Brightness and color are encoded by how much light hits each spot. Now, of course, a camera, a photography camera, it just takes one image at a time, okay? Of course, then you have film, we know that our eyes have 24 frames per second. That's why your television is normally about 30 frames per second. In some instances, higher for certain applications. And that's why cameras are matched up with the eye. Okay? But there's a secret lying in there. There's a grand secret lying in there as to how you perceive the world that is around you. And once you see that secret that I'm going to show you, you'll never be able to unsee it again. So hang on. The difference is film is chemical and permanent. Vision is biochemical and dynamic, constantly refreshing many times per second, 24 times per second to be exact. If you've ever seen a car go down the road and all of a sudden the rim looks like it's turning backwards, the tires turning backwards, it's because it has to do with the frame rate of your eye versus the spin and speed of the tire. So in short, your eye is a living camera, and an old film camera is a mechanical imitation of the eye. The film acts like the retina, and the negative is a frozen version of what your eye and brain see and flip automatically. Now, we've talked about the eye itself, but what about this white area? What about the ice that surrounds our world? Why is the eye white out here? Well, let's find out why things appear like that. Why the eye is white around the outside of the colored area, you might say. The white part of the eye is sclera. The sclera is a tough, fibrous outer layer that protects and shapes the eyeball. It's mostly made up of collagen. Collagen, a strong structural protein also found in tendons and skin. The sclera isn't naturally pure white. It's opaque due to how light interacts with the collagen fibers. Light entering the eye scatters off the irregular collagen fibers. So light entering in through the pupil scatters throughout the entire eye. You understand? The light coming in through the pupil goes into the eye itself, into the waters that are in the eye, and it scatters all across all of the collagen fibers. Because the scattering effect, all visible wavelengths roughly equally. The reflected light contains all colors mixed together. It looks white. As most of you know, that the light, like say coming from the sun, if you put a prism up or the right conditions exist, you can get a rainbow. It exposes that all colors exist inside of white. Okay, so when the light goes into your eye, it hits the waters that are in your eye, and it refracts and reflects throughout the entire eyeball and makes the white of your eye look white. Similar to how milk or clouds look white. Both scatter all the wavelengths of light evenly and produce a white color in return to what we see. Now, let's look at how holograms work. That's a big word lately, ain't it? How holograms work. This is going to be important for you to understand what this is. Are you thinking? You got it figured out yet? You will. Hang on. There are three main parts to making this possible, holograms, that is. Capture the person being recorded. Okay, so capture, meaning the person being recorded. The person is filmed using multiple cameras arranged around them, usually 8 to 100 cameras. Think of like the Matrix, how they filmed the Matrix, right, with all the cameras. And of course, not only that, how they are doing a lot of the things that we're seeing on the television and even in person, things that are going on at universities. These cameras capture them from all angles simultaneously. The system uses depth sensors or LiDAR to map the shape in 3D. This produces a real-time 3D model of the person. It's called volumetric capture. Volumetric capture. Transmission. The 3D data is compressed and streamed through a high-speed connection like fiber or 5G. Starting to wonder and understand why they need such speed with 5G, 6G, 7G. What is it they got planned? What hologram are they going to show us in the heavens and in person on the ground? Can you see what I see? So instead of a flat video signal, it's sending a volumetric video stream, a constantly updating 3D holographic file. Just like how the eye works, constantly. Key technologies involve volumetric video capture studios, like Microsoft's Mixed Reality Capture, Canon MReal, or Arcturus Holo Suite. Real-time 3D rendering and compression, which is done by GPUs, like the GPU video card I'm using to present this show to you. Ultra-low latency networking, got to have super speed. Projection or holographic display technology. Pepper's Ghost light field panels or holographic waveguides. So it's talking about light field panels, holographic waveguides, or Pepper's Ghost. These are invisible to the eye sheets of material that, if placed right, when you look through it, what you see to you is the hologram that looks exactly like reality, or exactly like what you believe is reality. Why it looks real: the projected light recreates correct depth cues. Your eye can focus at different depths naturally. The system adjusts perspective dynamically as viewers move. So you can move around, look from any angle. Looks real. But you can't see the screen it's being projected on. You can look through it and see what's behind the projection. It's foolproof. Modern lighting and shadows help trick the brain's visual depth perception, creating true presence, the illusion that someone or something is really there. Something like a moon. Related to the human eye and classic holography, this is directly related to what we talked about earlier. Like the eye, it uses light field information to fool your visual system into seeing depth. Like holography, it reconstructs the wavelengths or direct light directions of a 3D object. So your brain's doing this, okay? But it's digital in real time, not static and chemical like the eye does, or when it's, well, really more like the photograph camera does, okay? Real companies and examples as of 2025. Portal, life-size holographic pods. You've seen these, haven't you? For live interviews, events and concerts. HoloConnect's corporate hologram booths for live meetings. Proto-M tabletop hologram devices that stream real people in real time. Microsoft Mesh and Cisco WebEx hologram, VR and AR-based holographic collective collaboration tools. These systems are already being used in events, universities, and executive meetings. Some are small enough to fit in offices or retail spaces. Matter of fact, one of them is designed as a 10 by 10, the exact size of the Kirk tent. Now, let's see about something. Let's go back for the moment to these photos. Okay. The moon itself is a real-time holographic negative of our reality. It looks like a ball when we look up at it because it is projected upon a firmament that is concave. An image that is projected upon a concave, take for instance, when you go to the theater that's got the big, huge concave screen on it, and the objects bulge out at you, out of the screen. It looks like they're real, they're 3D, they're bulging out of you. It's based on this technology, the technology that God made. The moon is a negative holographic image of our reality. And he made it right into our eye to show us what it is, how it works, so that one day someone could show it to you. Now, can I help you see this? I've tried. Will I try some more? Yeah, probably. I've explained to you that the moon, because you would be saying, if you haven't seen previous videos, you'd be saying, that don't look like our world. Actually, it does. It's just this part right here. It's 1/4. We exist in 1/4. We exist in a circle inside of a bigger circle. The smaller circle rotates slowly around through other lands. The lands where we are now go through periods where no life, for the most part, exists here. Everything lays fallow, is how God said that he does things in the Bible, that the land must lay fallow sometimes. And so this also explains why we have the ice wall that is always melting in one area, but then in another area on the opposite side, it's always freezing up. You get more ice over here, it's freezing up, it's taking away land, and over here on this side, it's melting. But they want to tell you it's climate change. They want to lie to you. I want to tell you the truth. The Bible says that 1/4 of the world is destroyed from time to time. We live in the image of the eye. We live in a virtual toroidal apple. The eye of the apple. And I know you guys probably have questions, because I do. I still have more questions. And our understanding will grow in time. And we'll have more proof. And this is not everything that I've considered in order to understand what I'm looking at. But this should get you started on being able to understand. When you look up at the moon, you're looking down. Let me rephrase that. When you look up at the moon, you're seeing where you're at. Okay? We exist in 1/4, and it tours around. A torus. It continuously tours, and greater lands are exposed, and lands are taken away continuously, but very, very slowly. In our lifetime, we won't ever see a change, or very little. They'll call it climate change because they know this. Just like Lord of the Rings, all the different realms of land that exist. And then the one bad guy that's there that's called Sauron, right? It represents basically Satan himself. I hope you can see this information. I hope you appreciate it. And I hope that you will consider supporting my work so I can continue it. All the links are below. You can go on the website, TheSupernatural.Show, TheSupernatural.Show, and participate in the October Superthon. I'm doing 31 days live every day, and still Father's providing me enough knowledge and information to knock out bangers every day. And it's not me. It's Father allowing me to do this. And I thank him. And I thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll go again.
I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority.